Hey there lovelies, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maddie, where I love to talk all things makeup, especially makeup tutorials. In this video, I'm going to be covering a basic eyeshadow look for beginners. Let's get into it. So the first thing that we always do is prime our eyelids. Whether you are using, whether you are using an eyeshadow primer or you're using a concealer like I am, you want to prime your eyelids with something. It's gonna act as a barrier to protect your eyeshadow from creasing or getting messed up from your natural oils on your eyelids, okay? Next, now that you've got the primer or concealer on, I do prefer a concealer over an eyeshadow primer. I think eyeshadow primers are great. Some of them, my eyes do tend to crease a little bit more than others, but I just prefer a concealer because I like to go in with colors. A concealer is going to do exactly as it's called, right? Conceal. It's going to cover up my veins, my discoloration, any redness that I have on my eyelids, and it's going to create a strong base for colors to stand out on. Then, whether you're using an eyeshadow primer or concealer, you want to come in with some powder. You can just lightly dust with a brush. You can set it with a puff like I'm doing. I set mine with a puff because my mascara really likes to transfer up onto my eyelids here. And so I really make sure to get underneath my eyebrows super well, just because that's the way that my eyes are shaped. I have hooded eyes, and so my mascara really likes to hit my eyelids right there and transfer, and I look like I've got, raccoon eyes up here, and it looks really funny. And so I just set that really strongly. Okay, now all you need is one shimmer shade. Okay, it can be any color. It can be, obviously I wouldn't go for like a really light shimmer shade. I mean, you could, definitely with this look if you want, but I would say something that's at least like your skin tone and deeper, okay? Again, you can do this with a blue shimmer shade, you can do this with a green, pink. I'm gonna go with a brown today. I'm gonna be using my ColourPop Grandeur palette. It's a beautiful, just neutrals palette, and I'm gonna be using this color called Lavish. All you need is one shade and one brush, just a fluffy blending brush, okay? So I'm gonna show you what this shade looks like. Okay, I dip it into my finger there. Now I'm going to, look at that. It's a really pretty brown shade, and that's the only shade I'm going to be using on my eye, okay? Well, I lied. I said you need one brush, and then you just need a finger, okay? Tool. I like to use my ring finger because it's small enough, but also big enough that it's going to cover a big area on my eye. I like to use my ring finger. Use whatever finger you want. But I'm going to dip my finger in there, kind of swirl it a little bit, and then you can kind of see that there are some flakes on my finger there. So just kind of like I would with a brush, I'm actually going to tap off on my, eyeshadow or a mirror or something, so that those flakes fall off rather than falling onto my face and making a whole mess on my face. And then I'm going to start as close to my lash line as possible, and then bring it up and dip in as many times as you want, okay? But I would say start light and then go heavy, and then go up to your crease, okay? Bring it all the way up. And I'm gonna put just a little bit more in my crease area, and then this is where the magic's gonna happen, okay? I'm gonna take my brush, and I'm just going to blend my crease, okay? That's it. Easier than my basic eyeshadow look. If you haven't seen that, go ahead and watch that. It'll be up in the cards here. But that's all I'm doing. I'm just blending. And it brings some interest. And I've got my transition shade. A transition shade is something that you put in your crease to transition between your dark and your outer corner and your lights that you would put on your mobile lids. So we're sort of making a really easy smoky eye look here. But if you are in a rush, you know, you don't have a lot of time, or you just don't keep a lot of makeup on hand, then this is all you need, just one shade. And I put some more on just because as I blended, it kind of faded away on my lid there. And so I just blended that out, and that's it. Really, there's nothing to it at all. We're gonna bring our finger in, tap off that excess, tap it, and kind of like tap, swipe, just like slightly, tap, swipe motion so that we get all of that color payoff. As much as we want there. Just a little bit more. And also what's really nice is that you can haphazardly do this. It doesn't take a lot of effort. You know, if you're, you know, someone that keeps your makeup in your car or in your purse, going to work. You know, when I was in high school, there were girls that were doing their makeup on the way to work on the way to school all the time. You know, in college, you keep it in your backpack and you just kind of on the go. And you have to commute, you know, those stoplights, stop and go traffic can be super helpful. And there, one shadow, one brush, and just your finger. I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of my face, and then we'll come back and finish the eye look. all done, we are just going to come in, sorry, a little frog in my throat. We're going to come in with that same brush, that same color, tap it in there a couple times, and then just tap, tap, tap to wipe off that excess, or not wipe off the excess, to tap off the excess. And then we're going to just put this on the outer corner of our eye, and this is going to help just bring some definition to our eye, okay? That's it. Really, eyeshadow, it should not be stressful. If it's stressing you out, you know, just switch to this method. It's really, really that easy. One eyeshadow, one brush, and just some of your finger. And even if you don't have a brush on hand, then you can just use your finger and just kind of, you know, tap around your crease where you want that eyeshadow to be. You could also use a Q-tip. You know, Q-tips were huge back in the day. I remember when I was a kid, like those were used everywhere, all the time for eyeshadow and makeup application. It was like no girl could do their makeup without a Q-tip. You could also, you know, those little eyeshadow application, applicators, that's what they're called. Eyeshadow applicators, I'll put a picture of them here. you could also use one of those to achieve this exact same look. So, you know, you don't have to go out and buy a brush if you don't have a brush. Just use whatever is on hand, and that's the wonderful thing about it, that you can do this in the car, you can do it at home, you can do it while you're traveling. I mean, for goodness sakes, you could even use a piece of toilet paper or tissue to apply that makeup if you want to. I would refrain from doing that just because you will get some of the fibers, you know, into your look, and that's not super fun to clean those out. But there, you know, super simple, very easy. It looks like I spent hours doing this eyeshadow look. It's like I went to a professional makeup artist and said, please do, you know, a soft glam look on me. And they used 10 different colors on my eyes, right? When in reality, I just used one, okay? The depth is on my eyelids, and then I shaded it up using that blending brush up into my crease. And because I have hooded eyes, I brought it above my crease just a little bit because it makes my eyes appear bigger than they actually are. It also makes them look like they are not hooded. I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. I really would appreciate your support, and especially subscribe so that I can create more awesome content like this for you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!